you think this has a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention.
The court chronicles tell us that as the young prince slid from the back of Vermithor, these three leal lords bent their knees before him to lay their swords at his feet, hailing him as king. "You come late to the feast," Prince Jaehaerys reportedly told them, though in a mild tone, "and these same blades helped slay my brother Aegon beneath the god's eye." Welcome back to the Throne of the Dragon podcast, the show that covers each and every episode of HBO's House of the Dragon, and in the off season, we cover every chapter of Fire and Blood. I'm Josh, and with me, as always, is Curtis. Curtis, how you doing, buddy? How's it going over there?
I'm great. I got a song for you, Josh. It goes once, twice, three times a dragon. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Does it feel good to have your red and black for House Targaryen up again?
Yes, my dragons. Yes. Feels good. It's been quite a while. When was the last time we did an episode? I don't even remember. It's been several months, hasn't it?
It's been a while. It's probably been close to a couple months. And the last
Got a
one
ghost
was
behind
on Magor, so
That's
we
true, yeah.
definitely had a rough one there. Is my chair see-through? Is that what's going on here?
No, I think your green screen's blowing over to your left side again, like I said earlier, because now it's going up higher. Yeah. You got your fan on?
No, it's because Tater's in the curtain.
Oh, shocking.
Tater, leave that curtain alone. Come over there.
The cat is back.
Oh, all right. We should be good. All right. Do you know what we're talking about today, Curtis?
Tater the cat?
Yep, Prince Tater.
Actually, real quick, I just brought up a good thought. When was the last time that he made an appearance on a podcast episode? It's been quite a while.
It's probably been a while.
Yeah. Anyway, we're talking about Jaehaerys.
Talking about Jaehaerys the first. Yep.
Oh, thank God.
Yep.
Did I prepare for the right thing? What happened?
I read the wrong chapters.
We're preparing for Game of Thrones. Right?
No.
Now he's on the other side. I can tell he's over there.
He's over there. Yep. He's
I can see
over there poking his head around in there.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, focus.
So Jaehaerys the First, who is the third son of Aenys and Alyssa Velaryon. You probably wouldn't think that the third son would inherit the crown, but that's how you think these things kind of go. You know, you have many kids because there's a lot of war, and a couple of them will inevitably get taken out.
Well, I was going to say, Magor has entered the chat. That's what happened.
Yeah. But Jaehaerys was called the Conciliator for good reason. He unites a realm that's torn apart by his uncle Magor's savagery and his father Aenys' weakness. He unites the faith and the crown after years of war. He's loved by the common people. Up until this point, from what we know in these couple chapters, nothing, he's night and day difference from those before him. And a lot of people, when they meet him, they say that they can see Aegon the Conqueror in him.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was going to say it's like you take all four of these people, Jaehaerys included, all four of these kings in the Targaryen reign. And yeah, Aegon's probably like the best of both worlds, and then you've got Amy's, who's he's weak, and he's just indecisive about what to do, and so that was his downfall. And then you got Maegor, who's like totally opposite, where he's just like bloodthirsty basically. And then it's nice to have Jaehaerys come in and bring some peace back to the realm. So, but yeah,
Some level-headedness,
some
at the very
level-headedness.
least.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
So let's talk about a little bit where Jaehaerys was before he's crowned king. I mean, he's going to be 14 to 15, kind of through what we're talking about today. And so it's going to be, he's going to have regions that kind of rule in his name. But so before he stakes his claim, after his father's death, Alyssa takes them back to Driftmark. They do come back to King's Landing for Maegor's coronation, but they're at Dragonstone after that. And they're basically just prisoners there, without, saying it without saying it.
Yep.
After Visenya dies, that's when Alyssa makes her move and they all get out of there. They take their dragons and they make a run for it.
Mm-hmm.
They take Dark Sister. It's important to have one of those ancestral Targaryen blades. Later down the line, we see what one of them can do. For Daemon Blackfire, it completely divides the realm. And these are trueborn Targaryen children. Daemon was a bastard, so just having the sword can mean everything.
Right.
So Rhaegar Baratheon declares for him and is also made Hand of the King. And as it's kind of at the end of Maegor's reign, when all these guys or all these different houses are starting to turn, and it's the major ones, that's really what matters, because there were a handful.
Make it or break it there.
Yeah, there were a handful of lords that were still loyal to Maegor in the end, but they only numbered all together, like a few thousand or something.
Right.
So that's when Jaehaerys kind of seals it up, when one by one these greater houses start turning to him. So after he makes his claim, which is basically where the chapter begins, he's going to pretty much immediately set about trying to reunite the realm, kind of right everything that Maegor had done wrong and resolve a lot of the conflicts that his father had just completely
I was going to say there should be no like questioning like what your first move is, because it's just like laid out there in front of you of like, we've got to get back to ground zero and just like rebuild this thing. Because like you said, between his own father's weak-minded indecisiveness and Maegor's wars and everything like that, it's left the realm in shambles, and it's like now it's your chance to bring everybody back together on the same page under one flag, basically,
Right.
So.
They do take a minute in the chapter for some succession talk. This is always how it goes, though. Like there's always there's always going to be different lords who think that somebody else in the line should be king for different reasons, if not just serving their own needs. Um, but yeah, I mean, so if you go by who Amy's successor would have been, it would have been Aegon the second. Well, not Aegon the second because he was never crowned, but Aegon too.
Right. Right. I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, the crown should have gone to him instead of to Maegor.
Mhm.
So, by those people's logic, the crown shouldn't go to Jaehaerys, it should go to Aegon's firstborn child, um, which was Rhaena, I believe.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and so, oh no, that can't be right. That's not right. It's not
Wait,
Rhaena. I
Aegon's
can't.
first
Is it
child?
Rhaella? I can't remember. Yeah, to Aegon's first because
Like Aegon the first's child?
no, Aegon the second. Aenys'
Oh,
oldest
oh,
son.
okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay. Come on, people.
yeah.
Easier names.
Not Rhaena.
Quit repeating.
Rhaena was
I
his
think,
wife, I
yeah,
believe.
was it Rayla? Or how, yeah. I can't pull it up in front of me because I'm using my phone, but
Yeah,
for the
it
camera,
was
but
his sister,
okay.
Rhaena, I'm pretty sure.
But I thought you
Um,
just said it wasn't Raina. We're about to settle the debates.
well, I know it's not. I know Aegon's. Okay, no. Okay, they're the ones who have the twins.
Right.
Yeah, the two twin girls who are like
Whoa,
super
whoa,
different from each
sorry.
other. One of them's like really quiet, and the other one's really outgoing.
Rala is the firstborn. Rala.
Rayla.
Rayla. But it's RHA. That's why I was saying Rala.
Nah, it's Ray.
Okay. Rayla. And how you say the other one? Area?
Araya.
Araya. Yeah. So Rala and Araya. Araya. Yeah. So and yeah, Raina was his sister's last wife.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Um, and so yeah, there's a lot of people who think that it should pass down through the firstborns like that. So, Aegon's dead to one of his daughters. Um, but I don't know. Part of the argument too is like that they're way younger. I mean, Jaehaerys is already, you know, pretty young. He's like 14 at this time. So he's already going to have regents for like a couple years. Um, what's going on? See your brain working.
Oh, nothing. I'm just looking. I'm just kind of studying the family tree.
Gotcha.
Just kind of looking at it over. So
And then of course his Jaehaerys' older brother Viserys, he's dead also. He was
right.
Maegor's squire who they tortured to death.
Or kid.
Um, so Jaehaerys takes the throne at 14, and immediately, you know, he's going to have a voice in all the decisions that are going to be made in his name. And the first thing that they got to deal with is what are we going to do with all these traitors? Um, there's the guys who are still loyal to Maegor, at the end. And then we've got his Kingsguard to deal with, his council, stuff like that. So,
But not even that, just like the faith and like the what was their soldier group called?
the Warriors' Sons or the Poor
Yeah, the Warrior
Fellows.
Sons. Yeah, poor fellows. I mean, you got to deal with that. Like you said, trying to restore, the piece of the faith and everything like that, the connection there. So yeah, there's a lot of people to like have to deal with. But you're right. It's like first things first is we got to deal with those who are loyal to Maegor, who are still out there and alive. So
Yeah. And the overwhelming urge there is just put all these guys to death.
that's a
But
simple thing to do, right?
right. But it always makes sense in these times. Stuff like this, um, the dance, the Blackfire rebellions. That is massive numbers that you can kind of bulk up your defenses on the wall with.
Right.
So a lot of times that's the choice, death or the black. So, but they do go ahead and so from some of the lords that were still loyal to him, in the end, they took hostages from which, they always say hostages, and it feels like
Hostages, prisoners. I mean, come on.
no, I mean it feels more like because these people are going to be given like the respect they're due
Well,
because they're
that's what
people's
I'm
like
saying.
high lord's
Right.
children and stuff, and they come to court, and there'll be somebody's cupbearer or
Mhm.
a page or a squire, and that's they're protected and they're safe, but it's always just like, hey, they're here in our possession if anything happens.
Right, yeah.
And then also they're gonna go ahead and execute anybody who had a hand in torturing and killing Viserys. And I believe it was five or four of the remaining. I can't remember. I can't remember how many of the Kingsguard, because a couple of them had turned and gone over to Jaehaerys. And so whoever was left, I think there were five left, and of those five, four of them took the black, and one of them wanted trial by combat. And that
Yeah.
was the first guy who Viserys added, or Jaehaerys added to his Kingsguard, Giles Morgan, I believe.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I mean that's the first, you know, at base camp, things are out of sorts. So that's where we got to start.
Gotta
You
start
know,
somewhere.
yeah, we got to write everything there first. Um, and then once a lot of these lords started meeting him, it was like any questions they had, anything they were worried about was kind of put to rest because everybody as they come to meet him really likes him.
It's weird though, because there's like a lot of like different descriptions. Yeah. There's a lot of different descriptions. Sorry, I was just making sure I was off mute. Um that each person has from. I mean, I wouldn't say that anybody was like, "Oh, he's great," and the next guy was like, "Oh, he sucks." But it's just like everybody's describing him in a different way. It feels like it doesn't seem like it's a full on consensus. Like he is this.
Right.
which is kind of interesting to me. I don't know, it was really, I was kind of thinking about it, like when I was reading it, I was like, wonder what the deal was, because he's meeting each of these people like not alone, but I mean, like, it's not in like the middle of the court while everybody's just kind of chilling out, having a good time. I mean, he's having like business meetings with each person, like the Godfather. Um, yeah, so it's kind of like, okay, well, what's, because it almost makes it sound like he's kind of being different with each person, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it could be a few different things. It could be he's just overall pretty well rounded, that he's
Right.
not, just the angry king or the weak king. It could
Well,
be that
especially
he deals with
for,
people like how he feels like they need to be dealt with.
yeah,
Some
true,
lords need a joke, some lords need a sterner hand. So
true, yeah.
and things are probably
But
going to be different between the ones who came to your banner early and the ones who were waiting in King's Landing to surrender,
right, right. Well, and then for, what, 15, 16-year-old kid like that to be as level-headed as he is, that's pretty crazy, man. But
Um, totally lost where I was.
uh
Oh, I did want to
dragons.
say it's just it's just kind of my thought on it, but I do see a lot of parallels to him and Aegon the third, who is okay, so an Aegon third is gonna be Rhaenyra's son, Aegon.
I just kind of laugh because immediately that was the one I thought of, but it was just like random. I was like Aegon the third. I could have said like the 20th, but
Well, there's not 20 Aegons, but
yet we're still writing the books.
I feel like
Yet.
it'd take a while to get there. We're only on like Aegon the fifth. There's no the sixth.
Good
Um,
question.
but
Good question.
anyway, it just makes me think of some of the stuff that he lives through some of the same things, like an internal kind of civil war because Aegon Aenys' son um, declares against Maegor. He gets a lot of guys to rally to him. A lot of different houses.
I mean, technically, like you're on Aegon the sixth.
Yeah, it
So
probably it probably doesn't
sorry.
matter.
Sorry. Well, I'm sorry. I'm just kind of caught up in I was looking at the family tree. Sorry.
They both just
Welcome back to the
deal.
Throne of the Dragon podcast. Oh, we're not starting over.
Jaehaerys and Aegon the Third both deal with a lot of the same things, and they both live through a lot of the trauma of those things. And I kind of wondered why Jaehaerys wasn't as shaped by it, like why he wasn't so beat up by it, because Aegon the Third is for sure. But I think it's also thinking about it that Aegon the Third had to witness a lot of that firsthand, like right in his face. So, you know, just barely escaping with his life and stuff like that. So I think
Right.
it is a little bit different. I think a lot of this was happening to Jaehaerys's family while he was afar. So
Right. Yeah.
next big question that they kind of have to deal with is what do they got to deal with next, Curtis?
Was it the religious?
Yep, we gotta deal with the faith now.
Oh, okay.
That's the other major issue going
So I'll
on in
make
the
sure I was
country.
like, I already brought that up. Did we? Oh, we passed that one. Uh, Dorn.
Um, so the High Septon is still trapped in Old Town. Septon Moon, one of the many leaders that we've talked about of either the Warriors' Sons or the Poor Fellows. Um, he's the leader of the group that's kind of got Old Town on lockdown there. The High Towers won't ride out to fight them, and it's mostly because they don't want to start anything with the houses Oakhart and Rowan, because those guys have pretty devout houses. They've given their protection to the poor fellows. They're not going to let anybody come around and mess with them. Um, the faith has been pretty stirred up. They are pretty much dead set against this whole Targaryen incest thing. And I can see it from both sides because that's something that has just not been a thing in Westeros,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's always been something that they've been against. And for the Targaryens, it's like, okay, well, like we've done that in Valyria forever, and we're not we're not really the same. We're kind of a magical people.
I'll say, just go ahead
And
and say it. We're better.
yeah, I mean, Valyrians are different from, Westeros is going to be made up of primarily the Andals and the First Men. So it's completely different. So I see it from both ways. Um, but that's always going to be the faith's main thing
Fighting
against.
point. Yeah.
Yeah. So then they start talking about what are they going to do about the faith? Do we go in with dragons? Do we just burn this thing out like Magor would? Um, Rogar Baratheon says that we could just meet him on the field. We could take an army out there. Like we can do it, but it's
We
gonna be
can do it.
brutal. Like
Yeah.
we're gonna lose a lot of guys, we're gonna slaughter a lot of people, and this is not gonna come to
That
a very
gonna
peaceful
really,
resolution.
yeah.
I think most people know that. I think Jaehaerys knows that they're not going to be able to just beat the faith into submission here. They have a few
Well,
times, and it
but again,
always
it's
comes
like,
back.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
always
that's
come
exactly what I
back.
was going to say. Yeah. So, I mean, and it just becomes a cycle
Yeah.
that never ends. So, what's the
Plus,
point?
it's arguably worse as it goes down the line because the guys who were leading them in the beginning were a lot of some of them were high lords and guys who respect chivalry and are a little bit more by the book when it comes to the Faith of the Seven.
Yeah.
And some of these guys who are in charge further down the line are not much better than
Nuts.
common criminals.
Yeah.
Um, so kind of while they're debating all of this, the issue kind of gets resolved by itself. Um, what? Okay, so a random woman um, enters the tent of Septon Moon. Um, she clearly. So I can't remember when he comes out of the tent. Is he stabbed up?
He's cutting the throat. It's like,
Okay,
I can't remember if she's sliced it or maybe just kind of and maybe it didn't say about
I was
it. She
shanked
may
him.
have cut his. Yeah, I felt like it was like a shank, maybe. but he was bleeding really bad. I remember them saying it was really bad because like he's coming out and just like
Okay. Because I remember they figured out that the wine that she had brought in there was poison also.
Mm.
So I guess she just wanted to make sure she got him.
Well, I mean,
But
if you're gonna do something like that, it's like don't just go with one plan, right? Have a
right.
plan B.
Yeah.
This podcast is brought to you by Plan B.
Who do you think that woman was?
We never really get any like more details about it, right?
No. No, just the
There's different
nobody can really
speculations.
decide, yeah, what
They can't
happened
decide
there.
what she wasn't it at one point that some people thought maybe it was the oh what do they call them
Come on, you got it.
from I know the something guys the people
The
the people with the
old
faces
guys.
oh them
No,
old
they don't have
guys.
faces, Curtis.
Yeah, so it's like it's not the faceless men, but
Yeah, it is.
is it the faceless men? That's what they're called? That doesn't sound right.
Yep, the faceless men of Bravos.
That just does not sound right.
That's right.
Lame. Lame.
Um,
Motion to rename the faceless men of Bravos.
to Michael Keane and the faceless men of Bravos.
There you go.
Um, Continue your thought. What were you saying?
Oh, wasn't there was some people that speculated that it was them. It was somebody that was acquainted, whatever you want to, whatever you want to say. There was a part of them that came in and did that, whether it was just like random or they were hired out, you know. There was some other speculations too, but yeah, you're gonna say it's like the one common theme is out of all the people that they've asked about, you know, her description and everything, it's like nobody could come to a consensus on like a description of her, what she looked like, you
Yeah,
know.
so I think that just like kind of fed the rumor that it could have
It
been the
was
faceless
the
men.
faceless. Yeah.
Personally, I go back and forth between, the other two thoughts were that it could have been either Oakheart or Rowan, like one of them sent this girl in to kill him, or could have been Jaehaerys had somebody sent to do it. Um, I don't know. I lean more towards it being Oakheart or Rowan. Um, they've been out here at odds with Old Town for a while, like watching over
Right.
these guys, and it's gotten a little ridiculous. We're putting little sculptures together of old Septon Moon's Wang, and there's it's getting weird. It's getting weird
The
outside Old Town.
Wang.
So I kind of just have this feeling that like they're over it by this point, you know?
Right, yeah.
Um, and it seems likely that they could get somebody in there a lot easier and quicker than Jaehaerys could. So that's kind of the way I lean. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I would think that the deal again of like their the description, like nobody could come together on like a repetitive description of the woman makes me lean towards the faceless men of Bravos, and maybe Michael Keane too. But yeah,
The
no,
only, the only thing about that was that she, like, they kind of go out of their way to make everything look like an accident. Like that's their
this is
thing.
true. Yeah,
They're
that's
not just
true.
like out there like faceless man, stabbing people up. Um, it's it's
That's true.
usually a very quiet thing. So that was the only thing about it that kind of made me think, But I don't know, maybe she went there with the intent of it just being the wine and something happened in there and she wound up slitting his throat, you know? I mean, it seems to be a reason, she brought the poison wine. Maybe that
Right.
was plan A and what happened was plan B. So,
She didn't think she was going to have to go to plan B because she didn't realize she was going to have to sleep with him,
oh God.
not the Wang.
All right.
You told me I didn't have to see the Wang.
So Old Town slowly gets rid of the rest of the poor fellows that don't immediately leave after Septon Moon is killed. Like I was saying, it just kind of continues to devolve. There's some other less than reputable characters who decide that they're going to lead the army. But kind of day by day, their numbers thin out.
Well, the other thing too is like, do you think in any way though it could have been a combination of Jaehaerys and Okard or the other guy, Rowan? Because the reason I say that is because I mean, yeah, obviously word travels around, but it's like next thing you know is like they're walking straight into Old Town like it's nothing. Jaehaerys, that is.
I don't know. I don't,
The world may never know.
yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel like Jaehaerys didn't have any correspondence. Like he hadn't had anything with Oakheart and Rowan yet, because it's
Yeah.
kind of like while they're trying to figure out what to do, then all of a sudden this happens. So
Well,
that's
wasn't it?
why I lean more towards it being Oakheart and Rowan, like just themselves.
Yeah, wasn't it kind of a was it them or was it somebody else that was kind of a surprise to show up to like bend the knee to him?
It wasn't like a surprise, but it was one of those things that like even these guys like showed up, the guys
Yeah,
who are kind of holdouts even at the end.
yeah. Hmm.
Um, so after they get Old Town cleared out, Jaehaerys is finally crowned by the High Septon. So we're making this legit. We're making it official now. Um, his first act with the faith is he's going to rescind all bounties that Magor had put out on the warrior sons, the poor fellows. Both groups are disbanded. Um, I think my two favorite Kingsguard, I guess there are three that like I have in the group, but of Jaehaerys's original seven, my favorite three are going to be Giles Morgan because he, like right from the start, was like, "Hey, I'll stand in for you. Like, I want to show you that our house is still loyal." Um, and he, took on a former Knight of the Kingsguard, so um, he feels pretty badass.
Right. Ooh,
And then after him would be this guy, Sir Joffrey Doggett, who was the leader of the Warriors' Sons, and then also Sour Sam, who was the guy who was like 63 years old, but who still just like beat everybody in the melee.
right.
But yeah, so Joffrey Doggett is there with everybody else at the coronation. And this is kind of a big play because, and I don't know, like, why do you feel like Joffrey Doggett is all of a sudden just like, okay, yeah, you're gonna make me a Kingsguard, like, cool, like I'm totally fine with
Well, that's what I was going to ask you is like, what do you think about all these different guys like that, where it's like he was against the throne and it's like, are you really going to trust this guy to be that close to you? You know? Not that
Right.
like he has anything against you because you haven't really done anything to him personally, but I don't know, man. You just
Well, and
start to
it
kind of wonder. I mean, we know how it is. We know how the Game of Thrones works. There's a lot of
right
betrayal. There's a lot of backstabbing.
when a Targaryen fights Targaryen, like who has the right to the throne at that point, you know?
Right.
So like these guys weren't supporting a foreign invader. They were supporting the other Targaryen who had proclaimed himself king, you know? That's like it's how the Blackfire rebellions go too. It's the fact that like, okay, well, we all got to live with each other after this all happens.
Yeah.
So, you kind of have
Just
there's
make the best
hostages
of it.
taken and you shakily trust somebody.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the only way I can really justify um Joffrey Doggett kind of coming around like this is the fact that Jaehaerys makes him this promise that like we don't need the armed um branches of the faith anymore, swords and stars. Like we don't need that anymore. Because I'm going to protect you guys. Like nobody's going to persecute you. Like I'm going to be, the sword of the faith. And that's the only reason I can kind of find for why Joffrey Doggett would I think a lot of people are just kind of amazed by this kid. He's the complete opposite, of
Yeah. I was gonna say that too. Yeah.
his dad and his uncle.
Mhm.
They see Aegon in him, which was the one that they all fell in line under.
Right.
And so I think that, those two factors definitely contribute to it, at least, of what we know.
Right.
Um, and then, so the last thing we kind of talk about in the chapter is the twin swap, um, which I mentioned a little bit earlier, but um, and at first I was kind of like, well, why does the twin swap matter? But the twin swap matters because um, Arya, she's the one who's named as Jaehaerys's heir
Mm.
until Jaehaerys will have a child. And we know through the dance and House of the Dragon that it eventually doesn't matter who Jaehaerys's kids are because
Right.
there's going to be the Great Council at the end of his reign. But yeah, the twin swap. What do you think? You think
I think they did it. I think it was. I think they ended up swapping them
I mean
because
it makes
it's
sense.
just too
There's
weird to
no
just be like all of a sudden,
they're
oh,
both
I'm
the
acting different.
opposites. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think the
So
swap
yeah,
definitely
no, I think the
happened.
swap happened. Yeah.
So and probably the smart play, Um you don't want a repeat. Um the description of not area, but the other one.
Um, how do you say it again? Rana,
Spell it for
Raina.
me.
Rala, or Rayla,
Rayla.
Rhala.
Yeah, Rayla.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so you definitely, the description of Rayla as a child is very similar to um, Amy's as a
Mm.
child. So I think everybody, post these kind of events, everybody's very wary of it happening again. we see it happening after the
Right.
dance. Everybody is kind of like, okay, no, we don't want this to happen again.
Yeah.
Until Aegon the Fourth, who's like, I want this to happen again. I'm gonna give Blackfire to Daemon, and I'm gonna stir this shit pot up a little bit.
Okay.
No, I don't think that was his intention. I just think he was stupid.
I think it was his intention.
No, I think he was just really, really stupid. But yeah, I think that's definitely the play. You want Arya as the, potential heir if something happens to Jaehaerys. He's more
Right.
like, she's more like him. So
Right. Mhm.
Well, sweet. That kind of brings us to the end of the chapter here. Do you have any final thoughts on little Jaehaerys?
It's a good start for little Jaehaerys. Oh, little Jaehaerys. No, I think we covered it, man. It's a good start. He's off on the right foot.
He's off on the right foot.
I did keep wanting to say, when I was reading, I kept wanting to say Rogar as like Roger Baratheon.
Oh, Roger Baratheon.
Oh, Roger Baratheon. Never forget him. Yeah.
Man,
nope,
Roger
nope,
just doesn't sound nearly as intimidating.
Yeah.
Rogar sounds like the guy with
Oh,
the double-sided axe that could
Right,
split a
yeah.
dragon's skull.
What does Roger sound like?
sounds like he's like the Loris of their family. Roger's the weird foot guy.
Let me see them feet.
Roger Baratheon. Can
but
I
he's
shake
more
your
like
foot?
I was supposed to say he's more straightforward about it. Yeah, let me see those feet. I don't care what you're saying. Let me see those feet.
Let's pop those bad boys off.
Oh man.
All right.
Tiger Woods?
So in the next one, we are going to be talking about. Can you guess what we're going to be talking about, Curtis? Were you thinking the next chapter in the book, since we're going in order?
Yes.
We're we talking about the year of the three brides, 49. The year 49 after Conquest. So make sure you guys come back for that one. But until that one, we've got some other shows, Curtis.
Y'all come back.
If you're just a yearning, you just can't get enough.
Use some old language here. Some yearning.
If your heart is just hollering.
I was just about to say hollering.
Oh God. Yeah, we've got some other shows. We've got the Red Right Hand pod, which is all about the Peaky Blinders and covers all 6 seasons, relatively spoiler free. But it's a great rewatch podcast because we were multiple times in rewatching it while we were recording it. So,
spoiler alert, it's spoiler free.
It is pretty spoiler free. It's pretty.
Is that a spoiler alert? Can you say that? A spoiler alert. It's spoiler free. Oh, why did you tell me that?
We've also got the history of the cores, which is it's all about music. It's where we go through and we talk about a different band every week from a different core genre. We've also got the history of the cores After Hours podcast, which covers each and every episode of that other show.
More music.
More laughs. There's more laughs. I think there's more
laughs. There's more laughs.
It's
I enjoy my time more with Eric than you, apparently. So I may we may actually switch it where that's the history of the course podcast, and then you and me is just like the After Hours. So
okay.
You're being demoted.
Brutal. But it'll be the more relaxed one. It'll be the one where I don't even have to listen to full albums. I'll just listen to a track or two here or there. And
yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that's all of them. Make sure you guys follow us on Twitter at Is Survived by Productions, on YouTube also at Is Survived by Productions, and me on my personal at Joshua Lynn Gary. We'll see you for the next one.
Goodbye.